What is up, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global back here with another video, and in this one, we finally got some trade rumors going around. This time, it is going to be around the Baltimore Ravens tight end in Hayden Hurst. Now, the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jags are two teams being related back to the tight end from Baltimore. When the news dropped about this, it was actually described as a pre-draft trade, meaning that they would be looking to make this possible trade scenario as long as it goes through, the compensation goes through, and of course the Baltimore Ravens would like to get rid of Hurst. But before the 2020 NFL draft would be to begin. And of course, the NFL draft is right around the bend. Usually that's in around April, so we're only about 1 to 2 months away from this potential draft happening if it really is going to be a pre-draft trade. We currently do not know the exact status on the Baltimore Ravens, if they're truly looking to ship off Hayden Hurst, which seems like it would be a good idea if they can get some pretty good compensation back for him. He was a first-round pick by them back in 2018 and really has not been too productive for them. He's been replaced by other starting tight ends. He's gotten pushed down, so he's being considered as a bust for the Ravens, and Hayden Hurst is actually getting pretty upset because he's not getting enough looks his way. About 2 months ago, he actually told reporters that he would like the opportunity to catch more passes because, again, like I said, he's getting pushed down within that depth chart, so his snaps are being taken away, and most of the snaps that he is getting are going to be blocking snaps. Now, this makes sense for both parties here. When I say that, I'm talking about the Jacksonville Jags and the New England Patriots because both teams were teams that were interested in Hayden Hurst in that draft back in 2018. Now, the Jags, ironically enough, were going to draft him back then, but they were beaten to the punch. The Patriots were also doing their due diligence on him, but of course, they ended up selecting Sony Michel and Isaiah Wynn, so they got pretty outbid for him also, but they were another team, again, that was related back to him. Ultimately, I think one of the big things that this is going to come down to for all three teams is going to be draft capital, okay? What kind of draft capital are both teams, both the Patriots and the Jags, willing to give up for Hayden Hurst? Because, if we're just talking about a 6th or 7th round pick, chances are that the Ravens are just going to decide to keep him. Some good depth. They love their tight ends. Lamar Jackson loves to utilize them. They really need, of course, blocking everywhere throughout their offense for the type of offense that the Ravens do run. But if they are able to be persuaded in a way that, they're like, okay, well, we cannot pass this up for a guy that's 3rd on the depth chart, then it would make a lot of sense. And of course, the Jacksonville Jags are going to have better draft capital than the New England Patriots are. So as a Pats fan, as a Pats channel, that's going to be one of the big things to monitor, is the fact that the Patriots are probably going to have to make a bigger push here because they do not have the utilities that the Jags do when it comes to the essential draft capital. Luckily enough for the New England Patriots, they do have a couple of 3rd rounds. I don't think that Hayden Hurst at all is worth a 1st round. Nowhere from what we have seen since being drafted, I said he's a 1st round. I don't even think that he'd be worth a 2nd round, and that'd be good enough for the Patriots here because they don't even have a 2nd round pick. Both teams that are in search for this trade, of course, make a lot of sense. The Jacksonville Jags, they need help really throughout their entire offense, especially at tight end. Then you switch over to the New England Patriots, and that is one of their biggest needs, if not their biggest need. I mean, ever since they lost Rob Gronkowski, it has been really, really rough for them. They have not gotten any production. In fact, last season, they got the least production out of all of their wide receivers as a group in the entire NFL. And if the Pats are able to get Tom Brady back, then let's remember that Tom Brady has always loved that big target running routes through the middle of the field. A guy with strong hands that he can just dump it off to. He can play the leverage game with their height. That's the type of target Tom Brady loves. He had it with Aaron Hernandez. He had it with Rob Gronkowski. And we saw how dynamic the Patriots offense was when Brady had them. Had them in their prime, had them when they were making plays. And we saw how efficient it was when they had 2 top-tier tight ends at the same time. Guys like Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, and then another era where they had Martellus Bennett and Gronk. And even if the Patriots are not to re-sign Tom Brady. No matter who the quarterback is, they need an upgrade at the tight end position. Not just for targets for their quarterback, but also for the run game, okay? Let's keep in mind that the Patriots offense is going to go through some changes this offseason, 100%. It had some issues last season. You have Dante Scarnecchia, who now retired. You have some other issues throughout your offensive line, such as losing Joe Thuney in free agency more likely than not. You have question marks about your left tackle, what you're going to do with Isaiah Wynn. Then you have your right tackle in Marcus Cannon, who's getting old. He's injury prone and he's a cap casualty. And then, of course, the New England Patriots have arguably the best set of running backs in the entire league. I mean, the amount of depth they have at the position, the amount of versatility they have at the position is just insane. But in the end, they're not going to be able to make plays if no one's giving them blocking. Let's remember that the Patriots running back group was ranked much higher 2 years ago when they won Super Bowl 53 because they had such good blocking. They had one of the best offensive lines in the league. Then this past season, really the entire season, the Patriots had really big struggles for that running game because their offensive line was not performing well. They didn't have tight ends to block at all. I mean, let's remember that Rob Gronkowski and Dwayne Allen, two of the best blocking tight ends in the league, both left them within the same offseason. And on the Patriots end, this would be really such a great trade because it's such a classic Bill Belichick type of trade, okay? A guy that's being underutilized where he is, a former first-round pick with so much potential, bringing him in on a rookie deal with 2 years left and a fifth option year if he would like to pick that up. And the big thing here is that his 2 years, if he is to be traded, are very low against the cap. Let's remember that the Patriots are fighting against the cap this offseason, sitting currently right now without extensions, cutting players, trading them, sitting at around $41 million in available cap. In 2020, Hayden Hurst is expected to make a base salary of about $1.5 million. In 2021, it's about $2 million because the Baltimore Ravens, if traded, will still be responsible for the signing bonus of Hayden Hurst. Like I mentioned earlier, he is a very big guy, 6'5", 260 pounds, so he isn't going to be as tall as a Rob Gronkowski. He's going to be just under, but he's going to provide, without a doubt, a very big target. And if you look up his highlights, there isn't going to be a crazy amount, but what you'll see is that he's a guy that catches in traffic very well. Very strong hands, a very reliable target. Probably going to be the best thing that the Patriots have had in a tight end since Rob Gronkowski, with 100% out of doubt. Now, in his 2 years with the Baltimore Ravens, his rookie season, he played in 12 games. This was because he started off the season missing a few games due to a foot injury. He was targeted 23 times that season with 13 receptions for 163 yards, averaging 12.5 yards a reception and 1 touchdown with a long reception of 32. This past season, he was able to stay healthy. He appeared in 16 games in which he was targeted 39 times with 30 receptions for 349 yards, averaging 11.6 yards a reception, 2 touchdowns with a long reception of 61 yards. Now, the other part of this is that when Hayden Hurst originally entered the NFL, he was an older guy, okay? Currently, he's 26 years old. He's only been in the league for 2 years. He's still on his rookie deal with 2 years left, and he's already 26 years old. So for me, right away, that jumps out to the fact that if the New England Patriots were to trade for him, that would not be their only move, okay? Who knows how much longer he's going to be in the NFL. Now, he isn't a guy who's made of glass, isn't dealing with big injuries year after year after year. But you're already 26 years old, so even if the Patriots did trade for him, I without a doubt would still expect them to continue to see the market in free agency, continue to see the market in possible trade candidates, but especially looking for a tight end in this year's draft. We all know they missed out on it last year. There's going to be a lot of good tight ends in this year's draft, and hopefully they'll be able to jump on one, a guy who's younger, some time to develop, but also a guy who you do not have to just throw in there year one and put all of your expectations on. Because I think after the offseason that the Patriots had last season, all of us Pats fans can agree that it's better to be safe than sorry because, let me tell you, I think they relied on some signings, some trades a little bit too much. They relied on their waiting technique a bit too much because the Patriots missed out on a lot of good free agents last season, and they missed out on a lot of good positional players in the draft. Hayden Hurst definitely would not be the all-in-done solution for the Patriots with their tight end battle, but it would definitely be a start, and it would be a huge upgrade from what they have now, especially when it comes to the blocking game. But that is going to be it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on the rumors going around about this potential trade for Ravens tight end Hayden Hurst? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to me here at Patriots Global for all your Patriots content. You're going to want to make sure you're subscribed and have that bell notification turned on so that you get notified for all of these videos. Just like if Hayden Hurst does get traded, we're going to be dropping a video right away, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to want to be late on that. If you're also a fan of the NFL as a whole, go check out my other channel, link in the description below, called NFL Global, where I make videos on the NFL league as a whole. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.